Yeah, I'll get a
definitely.
5.
Yeah.
We've solved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall I go on to the old Biggie and Tupac one now?
R.I.P. Biggie, rest in paradise.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I'm just going to pause it for a second and go for a quick piss because I really need the toilet before I do it.
Okay.
I went for a piss between the breaks.
All right, nice. And welcome back after my piss.
Oh.
So we're going to do Tupac and Biggie now. Let me find it. I've
Yes.
typed up a little bit of a Word document.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So on September 7th, 1996, at the MGM Grand Casino in Las Vegas, Tupac Shakur attended a Mike Tyson fight. After the match, Tupac left with Suge Knight, who at the time was CEO of the West Coast record label Death Row Records, the label that Tupac was signed to. However, on their way out, Tupac and his bodyguards got into a fight with Orlando Anderson in the lobby of the MGM casino. Orlando was a member of the Compton Southside Crips gang. After the brawl, Suge Knight and Tupac left in Suge Knight's car, with Tupac's entourage following in cars behind them. So, they've just gone to a fight, the Mike Tyson fight, probably the biggest event of the year and that's going to happen in Las Vegas. It's just a, normal day for a celebrity like Tupac.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So while stopped at a traffic light, a white Cadillac pulled up on the passenger side of Suge Knight's car and shot out of the window, hitting Tupac 4 times and grazing Suge Knight in the head. In 2014, 18 years after the shooting, Chris Carroll, a now retired Las Vegas Police Department sergeant, came forward to say he was the first officer at the scene. So he hasn't said this since the murder. So he said it in 2014. So according to Chris Carroll, when he opened the car door, Tupac fell out of the door, covered in blood. And Carroll asked, "Who shot you?" Tupac then took a big breath and responded and said, "Fuck you," before becoming unconscious, making those Tupac's final words.
Oh,
They're pretty good final words.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
FTP to the fullest.
Didn't like the pigs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on September 13th, so a couple, I think it's like a week after he was in a coma for a week. He died at 25. So he nearly made the 27 club.
Really?
So one strange fact is that the Las Vegas police never arrested anyone in connection to his murder. Which is, no one.
Hmm.
So they also failed to follow up on Yaki Khalifa, a member of Tupac's entourage who was there that night, who claimed he could identify the assailant. However, Gaddafi was murdered 2 months later.
Oh dear.
And they bumped him off.
Yeah, that's not very
He was
good,
definitely
is it?
bumped off.
Yeah, 100%.
So theory one is from a former LA Times journalist who believes that Orlando Anderson, so the Southside Crips, the person he got into a fight with at the boxing match, and Biggie Smalls are responsible for the murder. So conclusion one, members of the Southside Crips were involved in a shooting as retaliation for Tupac fighting Orlando or Anderson. So second conclusion is that Orlando Anderson was the shooter. And then the third one that I think is Biggie Smalls paid $1 million for the murder of Tupac and he supplied the gun. So this is Biggie's motive. So Biggie's year-long feud with Tupac was well known and at the forefront of the East Coast-West Coast rivalry. Tupac also claims that he slept with Biggie's wife, Faith Evans.
Oh dear.
Oh,
You wouldn't be happy with that, would you?
You wouldn't be too happy.
No.
And so this kind of their rivalry basically started. They were rumored to be like friends. I think they collabed a few times and stuff. But Tupac came to New York. I think it was in like 1995 or something. Came to New York, went to Biggie's record label where he recorded most of his songs, and he actually got shot outside of Biggie's record label, but he didn't die. He got I think he got shot a couple times, but he survived. but Tupac has basically always blamed Biggie for the murder. Even though personally, I don't think it was Biggie. I think maybe it was one of his like the other rival of the gang, but I don't think Biggie knew about it or was involved in it because they were actually like quite good friends until that happened.
Yeah, because after the first shooting of Tupac, Biggie released a song called "Who Shot Ya" about Tupac. It was basically tormenting him about what happened and stuff. And they did have they were quite big rivalries, and then in the gangs, like in the gang world and stuff, it wouldn't surprise me if none of them would go to police and they just want to deal with it themselves.
Yeah.
And I can see why the guy who said he could name the assailant got shot, because they don't like people talking to police, do they? It's how that world works.
Yeah. So no one involved with Biggie or Biggie himself, they weren't questioned at all. And the Orlando Anderson guy was shot in 1998. So he was shot to death in 1998.
Do they know who he was shot by?
No, that's another unsolved.
So yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But it's not obviously as bigger because this guy ain't really as big as them.
He's just a gang member, isn't he?
Just involved.
Yeah. In the entourage.
Yeah.
A second theory is that LAPD detective Russell Poole believed that Suge Knight set up the murder, despite Suge Knight also being hit in the shooting. Detective Poole believes that there were a couple of motives. Motive one was that Suge Knight owed Tupac $3 million, and Tupac's mum sued Death Row Records in 1997 after his death for mishandling Tupac's funds. So basically, he thought that Suge Knight organized the killing because he didn't want to pay Tupac all the money, because him paying the money might have meant his record label going broke at the time.
Okay.
And motive two was that Tupac was going to leave Death Row Records because he didn't like the way that Suge Knight was handling things.
And as well, there was another record label that came about around that time that was trying to get hold of. It was Aftermath Records. They were sort of being built around that time, and they wanted Tupac as well. And Suge Knight's involved in a few people dying as well. There's a few people that he's sorted out.
Yeah, he's kind of involved in Biggie's, although he was in prison at the time. But I'll get onto that in a bit. But so yeah, Tupac was going to leave Death Row Records, that's for sure. And another suspicious thing was that after the brawl, Suge Knight made a phone call in the MGM casino before they got into the car, like a really long phone call with no one there. And he also insisted, because Tupac was going to drive himself, but he insisted that Tupac ride in the car with him and he drive the car.
So yeah, that's suspicious.
So it's like he could have set something up then.
Yeah. So that's the Tupac one. So what do you think of that? So we've got the main one is kind of the Orlando Anderson guy or Suge Knight are the two main ones.
I reckon it was the Orlando guy, but I believe that Suge Knight orchestrated it all. Like, he made it all happen for his own personal gain. That's what I would say. Because obviously he's the owner of the record label and stuff, and he wants that record label to stay afloat.
Yeah.
And he's a massive dodgy guy.
When you said the bit about him making the phone call and then insisting that he rode in the car with him, that's suspicious, isn't it? Because why would you insist that someone rode in the car with you in which, like, he happens to get shot?
Yeah.
That's suspicious.
So we think kind of, you think more Suge Knight?
Yeah,
I do. Yeah,
I'm gravitating towards him a bit more.
Okay, yeah, I'd probably say I agree with you. So now Tupac's dead. We go. Everyone kind of think in the like media and stuff, and on the streets think it's Biggie who did it. And so to make amends, I think it's about 6 months later. It's 1997 now. Biggie goes to California to try and make amends with like Tupac's fans and stuff. I think he tries to do a tour over there, tries to record some stuff over there. And then Biggie is actually assassinated over there as well. So he's killed 6 months later after Tupac. And people think it's in retaliation for Tupac's death.
It makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah.
So another main theory is people think it was Puff Daddy. Do you know, I think his name's P. Diddy now, isn't it?
Puff.
Yeah. His name's P. Diddy now, right?
Daddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, they think it was him, even though I don't think it was him at all. I'd probably rule that one because I reckon they were like best friends, weren't they? Biggie and Puff Daddy.
Yeah, Biggie and Puff Daddy were good friends. They had a lot of songs together, and Puff Daddy spoke quite publicly about his feelings towards Biggie after Biggie died.
And Puff Daddy was actually the one who discovered Biggie and like put him on his record label.
He was, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So people think with the Biggie one, it was again Suge Knight, but this was in retaliation. So he thinks that Suge Knight thinks that Biggie killed Tupac, and he's paid someone from jail to go and kill Biggie while he's in California.
Yeah, that would really make sense. He's probably the type of guy to know people that are capable of doing that and being able to make that happen.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Another big theory is that the FBI and the police killed both Tupac and Biggie Smalls because they didn't like the whole new rap culture coming in. And obviously Tupac had a song that was called like Kill a Cop or something. So he's talking about killing cops. So they think they didn't want this whole like, because hip hop was kind of like up and coming then, wasn't it?
It was.
So they didn't want it to become, because it was mostly like black, like working class people who were doing it. They didn't want it to be like an uprising.
Yeah, it could be argued as well that the reason why the FBI would have done that is because their music, arguably, is inciting violence and inciting gang culture, like glorifying it and stuff. Like, you know how like UK music does a bit now, like glorifies
like drill music, yeah,
it glorifies like drug dealing and stuff and makes it seem like a nice life to lead when the police don't want people doing that, do they?
Yeah.
And that explains why there was like shoddy police work. They've never found anyone, and everything's just messed up on both the cases. When they both got killed in California, but like that just explains the police of California, really.
Yeah, I'd say it's.
I mean, this whole thing is really confusing to me.
Yeah.
Because I know nothing about like Tupac or Biggie or any of that.
Or rap music.
Or rap music. So listening to this now, I'm trying to like follow along with what you're saying, but it's getting very confusing for me.
Yeah, and I've kind of like dumbed it down. It is quite confusing. Like I've tried to do it like.
It's like a massive.
There is loads of elements. Yeah.
Because it seems like what you're saying, it all like links in some way. Which I'm trying to follow, but I'm struggling a little bit. So
I reckon that Suge Knight killed them both.
Yeah, I definitely think with the Tupac thing, it was
Suge
Knight.
Yeah.
But what about the theory that Tupac faked his own death and that he's still alive?
I haven't actually looked into that one because I just don't believe that at all, really.
No.
I think he's.
Yeah.
I think he's too big to like fake his own death. Again, like Elvis, like I'd never believe any of them celebrities like faking their own death.
No, but
someone's
like
gonna see them.
It's always whenever a celebrity dies, there's always a theory that they faked their own death, regardless of who it is. So I feel like whenever someone dies, there's always going to be that theory anyway, but it is just a theory.
Like people even say about Diana, people claim to have seen
people
her.
claim that Diana faked her own death. But it's always going to be a theory, isn't it? When someone
it'd have had enough money to go off the radar anyway, and like known enough people to keep him sort of tucked away nicely.
I think Biggie is too sort of physically big to fake his own death.
I was about to say that. Yeah, he's a big lad, isn't he?
And he's very recognizable as well. Like he has a lazy eye, you know. He's like one of the most recognized people.
So recognizable.
I'd have to say Biggie is my favorite though out of Tupac and Biggie.
Oh yeah, I prefer Biggie's music. I like a lot. What's your favorite song?
I like the Party and Bullshit one. I do like that one.
Yes, it's very good.
Give me the Loot one.
Yeah, that's because I was listening to that on the way to recording this. It's a very good song.
Yeah.
So what did you say? You're saying Suge Knight did it?
Yes,
I think so. Yeah.
I'd give that theory a 4 out of 5, just because the amount of people in the rap industry that have said about that. So like Jay-Z believes that.
Really?
And he knew Biggie. So yeah, I'd say 4 out of 5 for that.
Yeah.
What about the Puff Daddy one? Killing Biggie.
No.
Yeah, I give that one a 0. You know.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's any like evidence.
No, there's not.
That.
And they were really good friends, and he was the one who found Biggie.
Yeah. So no, I don't believe that one.
And since his episode, he spoke out a lot.
Yeah, and he's really emotional about it, isn't he? But and then finally the Orlando Anderson one.
I believe that he could have pulled the trigger on Tupac, but I reckon he wouldn't have pulled the trigger because he wanted to. but because he was ordered to by Suge Knight and probably paid a few quid.
Yeah, after they fought, he probably made him do it.
I agree with that. He could have been the one to actually physically shoot him, but I think it was all orchestrated by
Suge
Knight.
Yeah,
and he's a bastard, isn't he? He's done so much shit. Like, he's in prison like all the time, Suge Knight.
Yeah. He was responsible for someone. It might have been Eazy-E out of NWA.
Yeah, it is Eazy-E, I think. You know,
not responsible, but it's alleged that he's responsible for it. And how he's acted in interviews around the topic, he's shown that he may have done it.
Yeah,
and for that fight for that fight in the Las Vegas casino, he actually got 7 years in jail for that one fight.
Really?
Oh,
yeah, because he breached his parole.
Oh, What would you rate the series, Morgan?
I'd say the Suge Knight one probably 4. But I actually like the police one. You know, I like the FBI police one.
Yeah, that really could have happened.
Because like they were always like having press conferences about hip hop and stuff like that, like trying to shut it down. So I'd probably give that one like a 2.5 though. But I enjoy that one.
Yeah.
I do think there is some weight to that one.
Definitely, yeah.
But I feel like I believe the
Suge Knight.
I believe that one more.
Especially as hip hop was something new at the time, and no one really knew where it was going or what it was. And it was just growing and growing and growing. And
obviously they hated the police.
Oh yeah.
So of course they're going to try and get rid of them somehow.
There was almost like a separate war between the police and them, and there was a war between like the Blood and the Crips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems like the reason that the police didn't really investigate either of the cases is because they wouldn't want to waste funding on it when they can just let them get on with their lot. Like, they can let them get on with it and sort out their own wars. And I don't know, they just let them kill. I think there's someone said, it was Peter Blexley said the police don't mind if gangsters are killing, if they're killing each other.
Yeah,
that's what Peter Blexley said.
Like,
it's when they involve civilians.
Yeah, then it's a problem.
So there we go. That's Biggie and Tupac, and we think it was Suge Knight.
Yes, we do.
That's the conclusion that we've come to.
Not as strongly as Courtney Love killing Kurt Cobain.
No.